Okay, good afternoon, Year 1. We are looking at working on our watercolour leaf book page. Now, if you've got your work on a book page, that's awesome. Or if you've got it on a separate piece of paper, it's absolutely fine. I'm going to do my demonstration with a book page, but some of you're just going to use your imagination if you haven't got the words on the page and you're just working on a blank piece of paper like this. So, the first thing I'm going to do with my book page is I'm going to add some detail to my leaves, and I'm going to use that with pencil. So I've got a brown pencil and I've got 2 shades of green. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of detail. Now the reason I'm able to do this is because, oh, that pencil's gone wobbly. The reason I'm able to do this is because my leaves are dry, okay? They have dried, so they're not going to rip or tear. If you try and add this detail over the top of wet paint, you'll accidentally rip your page. So, let's stick with this one. So I'm going to add some detail with pencil here. So there we go. So I'm just adding in some extra details on the leaves that I've already painted. Okay. Okay. Now take your time with this step, don't rush this. I'm doing it quite fast because I'm able to, but most of you, this will take you longer than it's taking me because you're going to take your time and do the outlines as accurately as you can. So what you're going to end up with are your leaves a bit more defined like this, okay? So there we go. Now the next thing you're going to do, and there's a few options here, if you do have a separate page of other leaves, you might want to do the same thing with these, okay? So you can see here's some leaves I went around earlier. So I did some outlines here. I put some texture marks on this leaf. This one I actually used a different colour pencil. I used brown because we're trying to stick with natural colours. So this one has a brown on it. This one's green. So what you can do is if you happen to have your leaves on a separate piece of paper, you might want to cut these out because we're going to build up our book page using mixed media. Now, mixed media in art, when we use that term, what we mean is we're doing things other than just drawing or painting. It means we're adding another layer on top. So this is going to be collage. So we're going to collage some leaves on, and the leaves themselves are mixed media because they've been made with watercolour and with pencil. So these leaves themselves are mixed media and they're going to be used as part of a collage. So there's another one there. Now, if you've got some newspaper at home, or if you're using an old book, you might want to cut some leaf shapes out that are made of text, because that might look kind of cool on top of your book page. Some extra leaves that are in the shape of text. Now, I've got a bit of a cheating way to make extra leaves out of text. I've actually got a leaf stamp, it actually cuts into the shape of a leaf. Now, obviously, most of you won't have something like that at home, so you can just have a go at cutting some leaf shapes if you can. So here I've done my outlines and I've cut out, let's see here, I've got some extra leaves Here's some that I did. Okay, so I've got some extra leaves that I've now cut out. Okay, I'm going to put these to one side for a moment because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and reinforce this page because this paper isn't very strong. So I'm going to get myself some background paper. This is just like some brown paper that I had in school in the art department. Yours does not have to be brown, it can be any colour you like, but it does need to be slightly bigger than your book page. And the reason for that is it gives it a nice border. If you don't have extra paper at home, don't worry, it doesn't need to be reinforced, but this will just make your work a little bit stronger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to glue into the corners because we don't want the corners peeling up. So I'm going to glue into the corner there. Now this one's gone a little bit ripped, so I've got to be super careful now when I'm adding my glue that I don't make this rip any worse. Because like I said, this book paper isn't the strongest. So I'm actually just going to, I'm not going to move my glue stick. I'm just going to dab it on and then I'm going to add it where it's not ripped a little bit more vigorously. Okay, now I can't take too long on this step because otherwise my glue will dry. So try and be a bit speedy with this step, and I'm just going to put some around the edges, and then I'm going to give you my top tip for making it stay. So once you've glued the back, get your background paper, and then rather than plonking your paper down quickly on top, take a moment and just rest it on your fingers. See, it's not touching the paper, so I can still move it around. Rest it on your fingers until you feel like you've got a border that's roughly equidistant. Equidistant means it's kind of the same size all the way around. So I'm happy with that. And I'm going to spread it to the edges, especially this one's a little bit precarious, so I need to do that one carefully. Now, here's my top tip. Once you've done that step, turn it over, okay, and you're going to rub it like this with a fist. And rub everywhere where you can remember putting the glue. So mine's kind of all the way around these edges. It's important that you take the time to do this step, because if you don't, your book page or your paper, whatever it is you've done your work on, will start curling up at the edges and it won't look as nice. Okay, so there we go. I've got it stuck down on my border. Now, this is the stamp I was telling you about, okay? So this is my kind of cheating way to make lots of leaves. So what I can do is I slide green paper through it and then I crunch it down and it gives me all these leaves at the same time. So I've gone ahead and I've made a selection of these leaves and I've made them in 2 different colours. Okay, so there we have it. I'm also going to have a go at making some leaves that have text on them. So the way I'm going to do that is, here's another page from the Jungle Book. I'm going to slide it in here and then I'm going to make some leaves that are there they are, there's my leaf print. I'm going to make another one. I'll probably fit some on here, let's see. Oh yeah, I just about did it. Okay, so I've got myself some text leaves. So here they are, they're made with text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use all this paper and I'm going to build up this page in a mixed media collage, okay? So I'm going to take some of my leaves that I painted and I'm going to take some of my leaves that are cut out and I'm going to start layering them up. Now, if it goes over the edge slightly, that's actually fine. In fact, you might like that appearance. You might think it looks quite cool. And don't worry if you're overlapping your other work, because with mixed media, you kind of want to have some overlaps. So look, I've got my 2 leaves there. So just have a play around. Think about where you might put your different elements that you've made. You don't have to use all of them if you feel like your page is getting a bit bombarded with leaves and flowers and you might not want to use them all, okay? let's see, let's put on, oh, I know, I'm going to put that on a background there. Okay, so that will give you an idea of how you're going to build your page up into a mixed media collage of the Jungle Book. Okay. Now, obviously, if you don't have a stamp cutter like I've got, you would simply maybe get a newspaper or a magazine and just make your own leaf shape. So kind of like an oval with two pointy ends, okay? So there, for example, is a leaf shape. Now let me show you a trick for making lots of leaves at the same time. So I'm going to get a new book page. Okay, so let's use this one. So this is again from the Jungle Book. So I'm going to fold this. Let's fold it into quarters. You could maybe do eighths if you like, but I'm going to do quarters, okay? And watch, I'm going to cut out a leaf shape. And then when I open it up, look, I've got 4, okay? And I could even glue them like that because it kind of makes the effect of like a nice flower. So this is what you're going to be doing for your virtual lesson. You're going to be building up your book page with mixed media collaging. If you don't have a book page, yours might look a bit more like something like this, okay? So you'll have your leaves on there and then you'll add your elements of collage onto your blank paper, okay? So it does not have to have a book page, okay? It could be just plain paper, okay, where you've laid things on top, okay? And we could carry on. Now, you might have some extra things at home that you could include. So for example, I've got some butterflies, and when you glue it down, you don't have to have it completely flat. You could maybe have a butterfly that kind of sits off the page. That could look quite cool. You might even have some things that you might find in a jungle, like you might have some animal stickers, so we could add something like that in. You might even have some pretend flowers. I think sometimes, you know, when there's parties and things, sometimes you get those necklaces that are made with these pretend flowers. So if you have something like this at home, you could always add that onto your page. You might have some plastic flowers at home that you can add on. So use your imagination, but it's going to build up and create a mixed media collage, okay, that represents elements of the Jungle Book. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. When you're done, try and take a photo, and then you can upload it to Seesaw, or perhaps even send it to me or your class teacher so I can see how you've done. Okay, right then, bye-bye.